The next step of the project is to create the eye hooks that are on the bottom of the car that will hold the axles in place. To do that, I'm going to actually draw on the side of the car and use the surface so I know that the eye hooks are oriented in the correct direction. A lot of times if you start to draw off in space, that's where your object ends up, off in space, and you don't know what direction it's facing. But before I do that, I want to change the frame here into a component. So I will take my cursor tool, I will draw a box around the entire frame, right click on it, make component, and I'll call that frame. And click off of it. Now I don't have to worry about sticky geometry like we talked about before. I'll zoom in on one of these sides here. I'll grab my circle tool. On this edge here, I will find the midpoint of this line and reference the circle over, and I'll start to draw that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a 1/16 inch diameter, so 1/16. Then I will take and I will find the center of that circle by hovering on the outside edge here, and it'll snap to the center, and then I'll draw 1/32, so 1/32 enter. This gives me two circles that represent what I need for the eye hook. Now I'll take my push-pull tool and I will bring this surface out 1/32, and there it is. I now can take and draw a box around this, and it only selected that, and I can move this down. You'll notice that there's a solid surface here. I can right click on that and hit erase, and now that's hollow. Now one last thing I want to do is across the top edge here, I'm going to draw a line across and then find the midpoint of that line and draw a line up a little bit. Make sure you get on an axis so you're going straight up. You'll see what that's for in a second. I can now draw a cursor, a box with my cursor around the eye hook, right click, make component, and I'm going to call this eye hook. Okay, now I need to place these onto the bottom of the frame. To do that, I'm going to locate where one of them goes. I'll use my tape measure tool, I'll find a midpoint and draw a line. And I'm going to go in 1/4 of an inch, so 0.25. I will also come from this edge in 0.25. Now to move this, to make my job easier, I'm going to grab the end of that line that I drew here. I'm going to grab it by that point and connect it to where these two lines cross, that intersection. Then I can take and push this straight up until it touches the surface there, and that would be the correct location for the eye hook. I've already accurately found where one of them goes. Now this is actually easy to get the other points. I know that this is 1.5 inches wide, and I have 1/4 of an inch here. I should have 1/4 of an inch here. That leaves a 1 inch difference. So with your move tool, grab the eye hook, slide it over. You'll see that axis line. Yours might be a different color, and you're going to move it over 1 inch. But before you hit 1, hit Control to make the copy. 1, enter, and there it gives you your other one. Okay. Now I know that this block of wood is 6 inches long, so I need to move both of these 5 inches. So I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to hold down the Control key and select both of these, and then I'm going to move them. I'm going to hit Control to make a copy of them first, and I'm going to move them down 5.5 inches, 5.5. And now I have my eye hooks all in place. Alright, go through that video, watch it step by step, pause it when you need to, and then you can have all your eye hooks in place, and their next step will be placing the axles in.